An airlines plane and a Black Hawk helicopter end up in a tragic crash while the plane was attempting to land on runway 33. In the videos ahead, we'll take a closer look at the final hours leading up to the crash, the confusion between the PAT-25 VIP military helicopter and the air traffic controller, and how the rescue operation is being carried out. More details all in the video ahead. The plane had departed from Wichita Dwight D. Eisenhower National Airport in Kansas earlier that evening. A PSA Airlines aircraft, operated under American Airlines and identified as Flight AA5342, collided midair with a military Black Hawk helicopter at approximately 9 p.m. on Wednesday, January 29, 2025. The tragic incident occurred as the plane was making its final approach toward Reagan Washington National Airport in Arlington, Virginia. American Airlines confirmed that 64 people were aboard the jet, 60 passengers and 4 crew members, while 3 soldiers were aboard the military helicopter. This plane's radio transponder stopped transmitting about 2,400 feet, which is around 730 meters short of the runway, roughly over the middle of the river. This has marked the first major U.S. commercial crash in more than 15 years. From an aerial perspective, it is evident that Flight AA5342 was approaching the airport from the south, descending over the scenic Potomac River. This area is known for its proximity to several iconic landmarks, such as the Pentagon, located nearby in Pentagon City. To the north, one can spot the striking dome of the United States Capitol building, a symbol of American democracy. The Potomac River, which encircles the airport and much of Arlington, serves as a natural boundary and offers breathtaking views for arriving flights. However, this area is also densely trafficked, both by air and on the ground, adding to the complexity of air traffic management in the region. American Airlines Flight 5342, which we'll refer to as the landing flight, was on its final approach to runway 33.
That's what I'm saying, because like look even here, like
flight was on its final approach to runway 33.
Like, look at the approach. Like, it didn't go over here. It didn't go over there, or it could have went here. It could have came from here. And it's like the sky is so big and it hit it directly. It's crazy to me, man.
33. At this stage, called short final, the aircraft was mere moments from landing, flying at an altitude of about 400 feet. This is the most critical phase of landing, where every second counts and pilots are laser focused on safely bringing the plane down. At the same time, an Army Black Hawk helicopter, identified as PAT-25, was reportedly on a possible training flight. It was flying perpendicular to the flight path of Flight 5342, following the course of the Potomac River.
It's just weird to me, like, why would a helicopter be flying where a runway is? Like, I know they do it, but it's like, why? Like, they could literally go over here. They could go over here, but they...
The Potomac River is a designated flight corridor for helicopters, and it's common to see aircraft like this operating in the area. The key difference between the two aircraft in this scenario was their operating rules. The Black Hawk helicopter, PAT-25, was flying under visual flight rules. This means it was required to rely on visual observation of its surroundings to avoid other aircraft. The landing flight 5342 was operating under instrument flight rules, which give it priority over VFR flights in controlled airspace.
So the helicopter's flying visually, and the plane's flying with mechanics. So if the helicopter's flying visually, they didn't see a bright light plane. I'm so confused. Like, I don't have knowledge of this. This shit could happen all the time. I don't know.
This system assumes that VFR aircraft will actively maintain visual separation to avoid conflicts. Moments before the collision, the air traffic control tower at Ronald...
It's also 9 something at night. That's what I'm saying, but they have bright lights. So if you're doing it visually, why are you even doing those drastic things at nighttime in front of an airport? Like, that's what I'm saying to say. These things just don't make sense. In front of an airport or of a landing strip.
Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport called PAT-25 to confirm whether they had the other aircraft in sight. PAT-25 responded that they did. At first glance, this seems like in sight. National Airport called PAT-25 to confirm whether they had the other aircraft in sight. Pat-25 responded that they did. At first glance, this seems like an acknowledgement that they were aware of Flight 5342's presence and were taking steps to avoid it. However,
okay, so they were told, do you see it? Most likely using night visions. That's what I was hearing a lot on TikTok. They use night vision.
Now seems likely that Pat-25 had mistakenly identified a different aircraft, possibly a departing flight from the same airport, and believed that was the other aircraft.
That's just too risky though. Like, I get it flying at night, but like, it's too risky, bro. Why wouldn't they just fly over here? Or like, it's too risky next to an airport to be flying at night in night vision.
Aircraft referred to by the tower. Tragically,
and the timing is crazy. The timing is crazy. Like I said, 1 second later, a couple seconds later, he would have missed the plane. A little lower, he would have missed the plane. A little higher, he would have missed the plane. Like, the sky is big. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not like a road where you have to be on it.
Pat-25 may not have realized that Flight 5342 was descending directly into its path. This misidentification could have led to the Black Hawk failing to adjust its course.
But my thing is, right, from the video we seen, you're telling me they couldn't see that plane? Because the Black Hawk could just drop. Like, the Black Hawk can maneuver any kind of way. This is obviously, you know, a pilot thing. But that heli was flying straight to that plane that was going this way. So the heli could see the plane.
Misidentification could have led to the Black Hawk failing to adjust its course.
And the Black Hawk is on a visual look that they said, yo, I seen the other plane, and they said it could be mistaken, but could you be mistaken of seeing this? I can't speak on it because there's no context. I don't know. Like, a lot of y'all saying they got night vision on, so does that mean they don't see anything? Isn't night vision make you see things more clearer?
In time to avoid a collision. Although I'm not a pilot, this is what appears to have happened based on the available information. It's a heartbreaking incident that raises questions about how such misunderstandings can occur and what safety measures can prevent them in the future. If you have more insight or expertise, please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. The passenger plane broke into multiple pieces and sank several feet into the river. Meanwhile, the helicopter ended up landing.
Do you think, I wonder if, like, you know, it's crazy. Do you think like they died on impact, or were some of them alive and drowned? That's so fucking sad, bro.
Upside down on the water. Regarding the rescue mission, the main challenge is access. The water they're working in is about 8 feet deep, which is roughly 2.5 meters. On top of that, the conditions are tough. There's strong wind, chunks of ice floating around, which obstructs rescue workers. We also have audio from air traffic control that has been published online, capturing the moments as the two aircraft approach each other. In the recording, we can hear a conversation. It appears to involve the air traffic controller, with P standing for priority air transport, the helicopter, and CRJ referring to the passenger plane. The response seems to come from the helicopter, but something goes terribly wrong. The two aircraft continue to move closer to each other until they crash, and there was no response from the other side. This long-shot video, recorded by the Kennedy Center Cam, seems to show two aircraft, a helicopter and a commercial airliner colliding, creating a huge flash. If you take a close-up shot, you can clearly see the black...
That's what I'm saying. Like, look how bright that plane is. Like, lights on, everything. So, like...
Black Hawk helicopter traveling at an alarmingly high speed directly towards the plane. A moment of impending danger captured in stark detail. According to reports, the situation unfolded due to apparent confusion on the part of the Black Hawk pilot. He was seemingly unaware of the presence of a second aircraft in the vicinity, which ultimately led to a critical misjudgment. When the flight controller radioed in, asking if the pilot had identified Flight 5342, the pilot confidently confirmed that he had visual contact. However, the plane he was referring to wasn't Flight 5342. It was a...
True, but all the lights on the runway he's flying over. Now, I'm talking about the heli. The helis flew straight into it. So it looks like the plane's going like this, and the heli's just like this. So the heli would see this, because they have to, like, it's not like you're on a heli, you're looking left, right. Like, you have this vision, right?
It's a completely different aircraft flying above his position. This misidentification proved costly. The pilot, certain he was operating safely, continued his course.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I'm thinking. The pilot seen this second plane and was like, all right, well, I'm just going to fly because this plane, he thinks this plane is this plane, and he just flies, and he's probably like he's probably in the cockpit just talking or looking away because he's like, oh, I've already seen that flight. Yo, like, that's the only thing that I could think of, because he's probably like, oh, we've done this route 1,000 times, and he's not paying attention. But like, I feel like you're over a landing strip, you should feel aware, no?
Tragically, he ended up flying directly into the path of an oncoming aircraft. The sequence of events highlights the immense complexity and path of an oncoming aircraft. The sequence of events highlights the immense complexity and risks of aviation, where even small communication errors or lapses in situational awareness can lead to dangerous, life-threatening outcomes. Let's take a look at a different case scenario of a Jeju Air Flight 2216. This South Korean airline was granted permission to land from the south on runway 1 northward. But control tower cautions against bird activity, so the aircraft made a slight deviation in flight path. The pilot declares Mayday after it hit a couple of birds, and it was instructed to make a go-around and land on runway 19 southward. It was at this moment the airplane encountered another problem with the landing gear, which did not open. Finally, the plane had to make a belly landing with what was supposedly a landing gear failure because it hit in the middle of the runway and crashed into the elevated localizer antenna and concrete, erupting into a huge fireball, while the tail section remained intact. Morning 8:57. AiTelly broadcasts a cautionary advisory about bird activity in the vicinity of the airport. 8:59. The pilot of Flight 7 C2216 reports a bird strike, declares an emergency with repeated. This is what he said: Mayday, 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 calls and notifies AiTelly with the message: bird strike, go around. Just 1 minute after the bird strike at 9 o'clock. The flight initiates a go-around maneuver and requests authorization to land on runway 19, which requires to go around.
So my thing is, even with this, right, they got hit by a bird. Was their landing gears down before that?
And requests authorization to land on runway 19, which requires an approach from the opposite end of the airport's single runway, that is from the north to the south, which is not the actual landing procedure. Usually then land from the south to the north. 9:01 in the morning, AiTelly clears the aircraft to land on runway 19, 9:02 local time. The aircraft touches down on the runway.
You know what's crazy to me? If that pilot would have landed here, chat, like if he would have landed closer to the beginning of the runway, that plane would have slowed down. It's just because he was in the middle of the runway.
Approximately 1,200 meters, which translates to 3,940 feet from the threshold of the 2,800 meter. This is around 9,184 foot runway. 9:02 and 55 seconds later, the airport fire rescue unit completes the deployment of fire rescue equipment. 9:03 Flight 7 C2216 overshoots the runway and crashes into a hill-like structure beyond the runway's end, which later on we came to know that it hit the localizer antenna and its adjacent concrete embankment. And finally, we have a missile attack plane crash. At 10:43 a.m. Kazakh time, which is Russia's Rostov Air Traffic Control Center, received a signal indicating that the crew had decided to divert the flight to AiTelly due to adverse weather conditions in Baku and Makhachkala, a city in Russia's Dagestan region. At 10:53 a.m., the Rostov flight director informed AiTelly's flight manager that an oxygen tank in the passenger cabin had exploded.
This is crazy.